Okay. Madison and Anna were not able to join us this week, but Anna might join. I'm not sure. Anyways, Russell, would you like to start?
Yep. So I had the number one question, and it was asking how the dominant ideology and hegemony relate to the issues of authority of relate to the issue of authority in schooling, and what are the various forms of authority in schooling, and how do they function, and then lastly, how and why is this important for teachers today? So I said the dominant ideology and hegemony are related to the issue of authority of schooling because they both support a society's ruling class and their ideological view of culture and economic dominance. Um, these both support one ideological view that explains, controls, and justifies like a culture's social order. It doesn't need to make sense or like be liked by like lower classes as long as like the ruling class agrees it's okay. Dominant class ideology is put forth by like schools, media outlets, and like government, using authority of rules to educate, and the rules of valid inquiry means that students may inquire, but they can't like truly question things or authority. Authority of expert leaves teachers little room to have say. Similarly, pedagogical authority relies mainly on teachers relying on important information given to them in a way that students will remember. All of the authorities take an approach to teaching that can be considered like one-dimensional. Um, and it's very heavily based on teachers like professing and teaching lectures to a group of students, and their job is to like absorb the important parts of the information in order to like show their knowledge on assessments and tests and stuff. With the dominant ideology, both students and teacher therefore like kind of handcuffed for lack of a better term, because like the teachers have to teach what's deemed important for them to teach, and the students have to learn that information. So there's not much actual learn like room for like discussion and questioning like things. It's more so teachers and students both have like these expectations and they have to just kind of fulfill them instead of like questioning like the deeper meaning and understanding of things. That's all I had for my question.
Okay, cool. So I did the second one, and this was about professionalization in teaching and how like it developed, and then what roles has teaching professionalism played in contemporary school reform? Do you view these roles as positive, negative, some, or both, or neither? So hold on. So I submitted the wrong thing in the wrong place. I just opened up the wrong one. I submitted week 9 and week 10. Hold on. Please hold. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Got it. No fear. So then I talked about I kind of like described like the definition of professionalism, which is the process by which teaching is recognized as a legitimate and respected profession. And I feel like this is like connecting to what we saw earlier. I don't know. I remember talking about it, but I don't know if it was like mostly my questions. But, anyways, like I remember when we were talking about that when they first started schools and they hired all these women to come teach, they were just like, they just hired these women. Like they were not educated, they were not trained, like they just needed teachers. and these women took the jobs because they needed the money. So this is kind of like the aftermath of this. Um, and then, so like as we see education expanded, we also needed more teachers. And then they realized that um, they needed teachers that are better equipped to meet like diverse needs of students, promote academic achievement, contribute to school important improvement in activities. Um, so not only do we need um, better trained teachers for the students, but we also needed better trained teachers in the sense of like increasing accountability for schools, performing standards, career advancement, leadership roles within the education system. So this like opened a lot of doors, mostly for, I'm pretty sure it was still just women, to be able to become educated and get a profession that was a little more than just like what teaching was before. They also focused on accountability and evaluation based on student test scores. Um, and teachers are typically like criticized for um, their teaching, and there's like lots of pressure that comes with it. Um, undue pressure and detracting from the holistic development of students we see. So then I said, like, in New York State, at least, we have like Regents testing, and we also have like the state testing that we had like in elementary school. Um, and I remember those like we had to do good on them because like if we didn't, then like it was gonna make our teacher look bad. Like she didn't teach us very good. And I don't think I really believed it, but then I was reading it and I was like, oh really? Like that's a thing. Um, so that was weird. But I said there's also concerns about the potential drawbacks of standardization and the narrowing of curriculum, which we call Common Core. So that just extreme narrowing of what we're allowed to teach and learn, and making it like the same everywhere instead of just like freedom to teach whatever they want. Um, and then I said the balancing the need for teacher professionalism with the need for flexibility, creativity, and equity in education continues um and will be a challenge within the education system. Like that was kind of like my opinion. Like I think it will still be a challenge within the education system because I don't think we've really moved that far. Like reading this and then like comparing it to real life, like with the testing and teachers and all that. Like they don't get paid nearly as much as they should. They're better trained though, but that is what I had. So yeah. And then Madison was 3. And her question was traditional criteria for professionalism and does teaching meet that role? She said traditional criteria is that a professional must have a responsible body of knowledge, a degree of hegemonity, and clear borders that separate unqualified from qualified. Teachers meet this criteria, but it wasn't considered a weak profession. It's different because they get paid publicly and don't have a say in what they teach. Teachers are paid lower wages and they have a dominance of women teaching as a job is teaching to help people for a specific period of time. Teaching as a profession is wanting to teach the future students for as long as they can. It's also a job that they love and enjoy going to each day. That was Madison's response.
had the fourth response, and it was more of like a opinion-based question. To summarize kind of what I said teachers should have a good amount of say in what happens in their own classrooms. This means they can choose like how they teach, what they teach, and how they test their students, because like I think like this freedom helps them be more creative and make learning more personalized for students. But I think it's important to find a balance with that, because while teachers should have freedom, there should also be some rules to make sure all classrooms are good quality and consistent, because like right now there might be too many strict rules and not enough freedom for teachers to do what's best for their students. So it could be a good idea to give teachers more control over their classrooms, but like within reason. I also think that like teachers should be able to decide things like what they teach, how to teach it, and how to test students and how to manage the class, because I think that like because they know their students best and because they're with them every day, they can kind of structure like their lesson plans accordingly with that. And giving them more power in these areas can make students more interested in learning and help them do better in school. But I do think like some decisions should involve other people too. For example, parents should have a say in things like what the school goals are, what extracurricular activities are offered, and like how discipline is handled. School boards can help with decisions also about like money, school buildings, and big school policies. And then policymakers could help like set rules about what students need to learn and how teachers should be trained. So I think it's more or less, it's like really important for like all of these different sections to like really work together to kind of do different areas. So everyone's involved in like setting up the guidelines for education and making these decisions. And that's kind of what I had for that.
Coolio. And then I'll just read Anna's really quick. Hers was research on teacher satisfaction reveal about teachers' view on this topic. Is a surprise. Surprise to you, why am I not? And then there's a few other questions, but I just X'd out of it. Maybe I won't read Anna's. Okay. She said the main research on teacher satisfaction revolves around respect and status in the larger community. Teachers felt they weren't always seen as important. Teachers also wanted further participation in decision making. They wanted more control and wanted more influence over their curriculum. This is not a surprise to me, as if I were an educator, I'd want the same things. Michael Scriven's philosophy about not teaching just to test, but instead to the overall growth of students without prioritizing grades. Tozer suggests teachers have ethical commitment to teaching Democrat ideas to society. Teachers can't be held accountable for bigger failures in society. I completely agree with these concepts, and I think educators, especially of children, need to have a strong sense of ethics and morals. That was Anna's. And I think that's all. So anything else? I think this is our last. It's not our last meeting. It's our last module meeting. So then next week, are we just meeting to like? We're gonna meet. Do we want to meet next week, or we just want to like meet the week after, like once the project is due? Because we have to like present them.
So I think according to like how the modules are set up, because I was looking at this for a little bit earlier, is so I think for like the next 2 weeks, we're supposed to be just like working on our presentations, because she's kind of got like a lineup of like what you should have already done and then like what you should be doing in the next 2 weeks. And then I think we're supposed to meet, I think it's like the week after the 27th is the week that we're supposed to start our presentations. But I'm not like, I think that's how it's supposed to be from what my like quick glance was.
Yeah, I think that's what I saw too. So we have like next week, no meeting, and we're just like finishing our presentations, and then the week after we present them, I think.
Okay, sorry, I just lost you. But yeah, that sounds like a good plan. And I guess we'll meet again in 2 weeks to present our projects. Thanks for
Sounds
coming
good.
up. Thank you.